Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. It's Doc Kane coming at you from Kobe, Japan on May 30th, 2021. This is Marketers Who Can't Market. If it's your first time here, we talk about marketing. And we talk about things that go wrong and things that go right, ideas as to how you can do a better job in marketing, how you can take a break from it, this sort of stuff. Today, we are going to do week 2 of the 52 weeks of reading, where I kind of talk about the books that I've been reading throughout the week, new ones I picked up, ones I finished, my take on them, that sort of stuff. So in a slightly extended book review of things that I've been digesting. Most times it's about business, although I do talk about a variety of things because I'm always reading a different bunch of things. It's smart to do that, actually. So do it yourself if you're not yet doing it. So, this week, what are we going to talk about? First book on the docket. I think I read 4 books this week, 3 or 4 books. Picked them up and read them because they're quick, right? Business books tend to be pretty quick read. Many years ago, I picked up this book that I read while sitting in Barnes & Noble for a little while. and it was not the greatest book in the world, but I got something out of it. And that's kind of how I judge a book. If I can read it and get at least one thing out of it, then it's kind of worth my time, I think. Sometimes books are not like that these days online, especially in Kindle Unlimited, if you're reading quote-unquote books from people that are really just like an assembly of blog posts or worse, like lots of fill-in-the-blank pages, do your own lesson. That's not really a book, and it doesn't really count as 50 or 100 or 200 pages if a third of it is fill-in-the-blank pages. But generally speaking, if you can get one thing out of it, it's not a bad deal. And so this book that I referred to a minute ago that I read in Barnes & Noble, maybe it was even Borders, they're all gone now. It's sad. Very sad. There was a tip in there about, actually, I think it was a finance book, not a sales book, if I said that already. And the idea, personal finance, the idea was like, if you keep $100 in your pocket, or in your wallet rather, at all times, then you'll never feel as though you are kind of broke. We've all been there, and if you're a writer, you've been there probably more than some other people. Believe me, I'm with you. And this did work for me, actually. It's kind of not so great a book, but I liked that idea, and I started to use it at the time when I was a little concerned about money, and I always had a crisp Benjamin Franklin in my wallet, and it did make me feel better. So there you go. Take it if you think it'll help you as well. Today's first book is a book by a gentleman that I recently found on YouTube, because I'm on YouTube so much these days. Every day I'm on YouTube posting my own podcast and looking for different sorts of things with regard to web design and SEO. And you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, that I'm kind of fanboying all over Matt Diggity lately. And he has lots of great content out there. So I've been spending a little bit of time in the mornings looking at that sort of stuff. And one of the gentlemen that I happened upon recently is this cat named Peng Joon. Peng Joon, P-E-N-G, J-O-O-N. Peng is from Malaysia. And I'd never heard of him before. And he popped up on my my feed, I think because I was maybe looking at somehow I'm like in and I'm a ClickFunnels affiliate, and I'm tracked and followed everywhere by Russell Brunson, who helped me get started with this podcast basically by reading his Traffic Secrets book. But I think that's how I happened upon Peng, because Peng is a big ClickFunnels affiliate, and he apparently makes a good living otherwise, but he makes a really good side income, if you can imagine, and to the tune of something like $50,000 or something a month by being a ClickFunnels affiliate. So I found out about him through there, and I watched some of his videos. And what I liked about him was he seems like he's kind of like a no bullshit guy. I mean, he's got a little hype to him, but not too much. And I can tolerate that if the information is good that one shares. And he's not very hypey. I just want to emphasize that. He's got energy, and his information is top notch. So I um, I downloaded a couple samples of his, or I downloaded a sample of his book called Platform Closing, and right away I thought it was great, so I bought it. And it is fantastic. So I went through it, and it is very much like a high level class in how to create an online or offline presentation from top to bottom, basically, like how you structure it, how you phrase things, what not to do, what not to say. It's a super, super, super good, actionable book that you will find yourself if you want to become a speaker, or if you want to kind of, let's say you're using Samcart and you want to create a video. That introduces yourself to the people that land on your page, or any kind of landing page where you want to do a video. If you want to do stuff on Facebook, it's just a wonderful step-by-step program in a book that you would probably pay a ton of money for to get access via a course. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend it. It's I don't know how much it is, $12 or something like that. Amazon's prices are always changing, right? So I don't know how much it is, but it's good, and I would highly recommend you check it out. Very, very, very good book. I highlighted a shit ton of things in there, and I'm already getting ready to put it into motion in the next week or two, because I'm working. I'm not yet ready to launch a course or anything like that, but I am thinking about it, and so I'm putting the front parts of that idea into motion, and his book will play a large part in the middle to back end of that. Great book. Check it out. Peng Joon's Platform Closing. He also has, because I liked that book, I decided to see what else he had, and he has another book that I downloaded for free in Kindle Unlimited, because I have Kindle Unlimited, and I didn't like it as much. I didn't. It was probably something that he used as a lead magnet, and I don't even remember the title, and I've already removed it from my device, so it's not there. It was something about like how to make a lot of money online, 5-step, something or other. It was not as well written. It was his first book, and it was written many years ago. It was very much kind of tongue-in-cheek. He's funny, so there was good sense of humor to it. But it was more of a calling card, like a business card book kind of thing, where he's saying like, there's a lot that you can do, and if you kind of put your mind to it, and this sort of stuff. Platform Closing, far, far better. So if you're going to spend any money on Peng's books, and you should buy Platform Closing. So there you go. So good stuff. And check out his YouTube videos. They're fantastic, especially if you want to learn anything about Facebook advertising, which is a fucking nightmare. He's really, really good at explaining it. And he spent a lot of money doing ads, and so he's lots of good data to share. He's kind of like Diggity in that sense. So like he's very analytic with his approach to ads. I mentioned last week building a story brand and Donald Miller's books, and the one I was reading and just finished was Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. It's another one of these books like Peng's that's very much laid out in a, hey, follow me along, and this is how you do this thing that can help elevate your business and help you remain focused and make some money via good marketing practices and utilizing standard benchmarks that work and things like that. That's why Peng's course is so good too. So Peng's actually, by the way, to mention a little bit more about Peng, he learned a lot of what he does from a guy who wrote a book called How to Persuade People Who Don't Want to Be Persuaded, and he is trying to get his name, Joel Bauer. Yeah, Joel Bauer and Mark Levy wrote this book a number of years ago. Subtitle is Get What You Want Every Time. Yeah. I haven't dug into this yet. I have only a sample. But if you were to go to Joel's page, you'll see that he is kind of mentored and worked with a lot of people whose faces you probably recognize from online. Eben Pagan being one of them, who's been around forever, right? And what you'll learn from, I watched a little video with with Joel and Peng actually, and he's pretty authentic guy. He seems he's not pretty authentic. I mean, he is authentic. He's not pushy, salesy. He's really chill in general. And any salesperson that I've ever worked with that's good, actually, is the opposite of what most people think salespeople are like. They're very relaxed and calm and very, very chill people. They're not over the top. It's weird, actually, how different they are from what we think of as a bad salesperson or even a typical salesperson. Very chill. But anyway, so a lot of Peng's teachings come from his relationship and what he's learned from Joel. So you could probably just read Joel's book if you want, but I haven't read it myself yet, so I can't really say that. Peng's is great. But anyway, Donald Miller, right? So Donald Miller's Marketing Made Simple book, I finished that this week. Another really, really good book. There are some... let me take a step back. So basically what he does in this book is it's almost all about how to develop a landing page that converts. And he structures the argument or the story around the idea that this is your web page. So your web page only needs to be a few pages deep, 5 pages, basically 4 or 5 pages, and it should follow a certain kind of flow that works. It's a scientific approach. It's been tested a zillion times on customers, and there are elements to it that I have seen in other places when you take a look at CRO, conversion rate optimization sort of stuff for web pages, right? Like if you look at easywins.io, some of the things in there are things that Donald Miller talks about, right? Just very kind of standard things that work. What I'm a little puzzled about, though, is, Donald, so it works, right, this thing, but I think Donald's approach is very much geared toward service businesses who have a very kind of who don't have a deep sites, right? Who only need 4 or 5 pages and can leverage Divi to put up a website because it doesn't hog a lot of resources. It's a very bare bones wireframe kind of thing. It works. I'm considering using it just for landing pages, basically. So the thing that I will use to create Peng's, or excuse me, when I do like Peng's methodology and these other things that I already know and learn, I'll direct people to a landing page, kind of like what people do with Samcart, right? And then that could be laid out in this particular fashion that Donald suggests. But I'm having a little bit of trouble figuring out how to implement this very, very bare bones structure in a larger site. Like I already have 100 pages of content on Nihon Hustle, so it just doesn't kind of work in that sense. So I'm playing around with it. The other thing I had a little confusion over was he throughout the book he recommends that you go to his website and you download the paper versions of his wireframe. And wireframe is basically just the word given to describe what a website looks like on the back end, how you lay it out. That's a wireframe. And it's basically the non-visual version of it. I think of it just like a roadmap, if you will. And so he refers to, hey, go to my website, check out the paper version of the thing, and And so I did that, and then I started wandering around on his website, which is nothing like what he suggested we should do. Not really, at least. It's different enough to be different. And when I was going to the website, I was looking for kind of like an exact version of what he talked about, and it wasn't there. So that was a little puzzling. And then even the downloadable wireframe examples that he had were different. And I thought that some of the text, some of the examples that he gave in the book, which were very, very good copywriting type things, and he gives us tons and tons of examples, which makes the book very valuable. I didn't really see any of that in the example copy for the download. So I was a little confused. It's not to detract from what he says in the book because it's all very valuable, but I was hoping for a very good visual of it. So what I ended up doing was just searching for some more information about other people who use this story brand methodology and the marketing made simple kind of technique. And I found other companies like who are probably his certified guides or whatever, and they've done other people's websites. And so then I was able to see some examples based on the book. And there are some that are decent, but they usually lack a very strong kind of copywriting angle. Some are good, some aren't good, but as a writer, I can kind of tell um, where they're missing the mark. And it's a little unfortunate because you want to kind of look at a lot of samples to really see what works. He gives a lot, but they probably don't apply a lot to every business out there. But anyway, I liked the book, and I would recommend that you take a look at it. It's again a kind of play it by numbers, take notes, execute kind of book. So a good partner to Peng's book. I haven't read his story brand book yet. I don't really need that yet, but I do own it. What else did I read this week? So the other book I read is a book called The Live Launch Method by Kelly Roach, and this was interesting. This was quite interesting. So basically, this book, Kelly Roach wrote this book because she had so Kelly used to do marketing and sales, or sales, I think, for some really really big companies, and she comes from a background of kind of knowing what to do, right? But yet, ironically, was having trouble moving the needle on some of her own products and services when she went out on her own or when she retired or whatever. I don't know the full story of her background, but it's a very familiar problem, right? That's the reason why I created this podcast, right? Like I know this stuff, but I don't know it. Why? What am I missing, right? I've been doing marketing forever, and yet there are still issues that I run into that puzzle the shit out of me because I don't even know what the issue is, and that's kind of what she was running into too. And so she found a way to kind of make it work. So all the idea of like she mentions kind of off the cuff a little bit this so launching is a thing, right? So Jeff Walker created this thing many years ago called launch, or I launched something or whatever. It's like it's a way to make like a shit ton of money overnight, with this big drawn out long process basically of planning and recruiting people, and it worked for him, and it works for a lot of people, but it wasn't working for her, and a lot of other things weren't working as well. So somehow she stumbled upon this method of basically utilizing Facebook's live broadcasts to warm up to people in a normal kind of sales way. Like when you're in front of somebody, you can really kind of build trust quickly, right? If you're a decent human being. So she does these live sessions, like challenges almost, in Facebook, and then that's her funnel basically. So her funnel is a Facebook Live, but before she does that, she creates a group, and the minimum amount of people that she says you should get in your group is about 300 people, and you fill it with you fill up the group by advertising to people, and a variety of other manners. But the way it seems, it does not seem too difficult to fill the group with about 300 people, but don't do anything until that point, is what she says. And then she has guidelines for kind of how you should structure your funnel a little bit. And the idea is to create a funnel product that you can run a few times a year and kind of automate this search for leads and for new customers, and sell your product idea, whether it's coaching system or some sort of service business opportunity that you can provide at scale, but doing it several times a year, and booking up your not necessarily booking up your calendar, but bringing in regular revenue monthly through this program. So, for example, if you're a coach, you might do a few of these live things. You've got a group together, you do a few of these lives, and then you get people to buy, right? And then when they buy, they're buying whatever coaching program you would offer. So they get access to you once a month or once a week or once a quarter or whatever it is, and you're charging them a certain amount of money. She suggests between $300 to $800 or more a month. So you got monthly recurring revenue, right? And you do one of these, let's say for a couple months, and then you do another one for another couple months, and then and on and on and on. It's a cool book. The um, the tail end of the book is all case studies. They're kind of short case studies, but there are a lot of them. And at first I was like, ah, shit, the whole last part of the book is all case studies. Like, do I really need that? But then the more I went through it, I thought this is actually pretty cool. Because what she does is she says basically who the person is. This is one nice thing about it. There's no hiding. It's no like John Smith did this. They're real people, right? So and so person, so and so, this is their business, how much money they made with each one of their launches. And it's broken down nicely. She has these categories like who the typical client is, like who this coach, let's say, is looking to target, what the offer is, how they did it, and how did it work for them, basically. They're short and sweet, but they're pretty good. And I think I was surprised to find a few in there that I could kind of see myself in that model. And that's the hardest thing for me usually because I have a very service-oriented business, and trying to think about how to do it at scale is always very difficult for me. My hands have to kind of be in the sauce to make it happen. So it was a neat book. I would check it out. I think it's a Kindle, if I remember correctly, it's Kindle Unlimited, so you might get it for free. It's not bad. There's a lot of repeating. There's a lot of rah-rah in there that's not totally necessary. In the beginning, it's fine, but it's kind of goes on and on about every chapter has this rah-rah element that I didn't really need. But I think it's very meaty otherwise and worth your time. All right. So what else? Dan Kennedy. If you're a copywriter, you probably know Dan Kennedy. I'm about halfway through Dan Kennedy's Ultimate Sales. No, I finished it actually. I finished Dan Kennedy's. I'm just looking at my progress here, and I had gone back in the book. The Ultimate Sales Letter, 4th edition. So Dan Kennedy's kind of a legend as far as copywriting goes. And I don't always love Dan's approach actually because he's like a typical kind of like 70s, 80s copywriter where I can see right through it anymore. And he plays kind of some psychological buttons. And I don't know. It's kind of an older way of doing it, I think. And Dan Kennedy would defend it to the death and say, well, it works, which is what he talks about in the book. And a lot of things work. It doesn't necessarily mean I want to do them. I was actually in Dan's like gold member group for a while, a couple years ago. And I just got fucking tired of the pitch. Like everything, even I was already paying like a lot of money to be in this thing, and I'd send you CDs every month and all this direct mail stuff. It's very familiar if you're a copywriter when you get it. It's like, oh, there's that thing there's that thing with the fake note on it. I mean, I know it's fake, Dan. It doesn't look real. The handwriting never looks real on those things. But again, he'll say it works, and it probably does work on a lot of people for a lot of different kinds of things. A lot of Dan's clients in that group seem to be dentists. So people who can like mass mail a lot of things, maybe it works, but not always for small business owners, I think, like you and me, if you're a small business owner. But there are good nuggets in this book, right? So this book, if you're a copywriter, you can skim it pretty much and pull out a couple neat ideas here and there. I did highlight some things. But I would say if you're not a copywriter and you don't know anything about copywriting, then you probably could get a lot out of this book. And just keep in mind that Dan is talking about things that are a little over the top, right? If you're cool with that, then it works. Then he's kind of, like I said, he knows what he's talking about. But take that into consideration when you're reading the book. It's a quick read for writers, and it's also a Kindle Unlimited book, so you can you can get it for free. What else did I read this week? Platform closing. Yes. I think that's, as far as books that I finished, that's all I had finished. Last night, my wife and I read Haruki Murakami's short story, which was fantastic, and it's called The Elephant Vanishes. It's from The Elephant Vanishes, and what is it? The Elephant Communique, I think. Oh, I can't find the exact. The Elephant Vanishes. So Haruki Murakami, I haven't. It's the first thing that I've actually read to completion from him. The short story was The Kangaroo Communique, and it was really, really good. Really, really good. We were laughing our asses off, and the flow is fantastic. So this is a translated version. Haruki writes in Japanese, but he also he writes in Japanese, but he speaks English. And this is a translated version by Alfred Birnbaum, and it's wonderful. So it's only like maybe 13 pages or something like that, but it's hilarious. And like I said, it's very, very fast moving, fast paced story. And a lot of people, if you hear people talk about Murakami, they talk about him like he's weird, like he has like a very kind of like odd storylines and odd characters and this and that, and he's like moody or mellow, the way a lot of people refer to Dazai. I mean, if you haven't yet been to our website, our translation website, makebelopo.com, one of the big hits on our website is Osamu Dazai, and Dazai is a famous Japanese writer who famously tried to kill himself a couple times and finally succeeded, I think, on the fourth try, and took a woman with him at the same time. Unfortunately, they did like a joint suicide, and people think of him as being very depressing and the whole thing. But we translated a story that is very, very lighthearted, soulful kind of story, and my wife loves him because he's funny. So Murakami's funny. So if you've heard that Murakami's weird, read this story, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by it. It's a good story. New books. What else? What did I pick up this week that I'm eager to read as we go into the next week? I picked up a book. So I love history, and if you've been listening for a while, you know that I work for the History Channel and the Vietnam in HD project, Emmy nominated project. That was fun. That was so fun. My uncle was in the war, and it was very much a thing that I would have done for free, and almost did do for free because they were running out of budget at one point in time. But I like reading about Vietnam, and so I found a book yesterday that looked really, really good, and so I bought it immediately. And it's called You Don't Belong Here by Elizabeth Becker, and it's about female reporters who covered the war. It looks like it's going to be a really good book. So that's one that I got. I also bought a book by Paul Auster called The New York Trilogy. I wish I could remember where I heard about Paul Auster. I think I was listening to Springsteen interview or something like that. He might have mentioned it. The New York Trilogy. And I mentioned the How to Persuade People Who Don't Want to Be Persuaded book. I'll probably start reading that sample this week. And, so this book that I've had for, I don't know, 2 years now or so, and I read it when I need to get back into when I need to get back into it. I've read it a couple of times, cover to cover. It's called 6 Weeks to a Holiday. 6 weeks to a Hollywood Body. Look fit and feel something or other. Feel great. I don't know. 6 Weeks to a Hollywood Body is a really, really good, easy to execute fitness plan book for anybody. You're a man, you're a woman. Basically, it's written by this dude who trains Hollywood actors and actresses, Steve Zim. And it's a cool program. It worked like gangbusters for me 2 years ago when I started doing it. And when Corona happened and the world fell apart, my gym, I used to belong to Gold's Gym here in Cold Bay. I'm not a huge musclehead or anything like that, but it's a great gym, and they have like a sauna in there and everything. It's really, really nice. It's worth the money. And I did this, and you can do it. I did it with a combination of weights and bands, weights and pulleys, basically, and some ball work. So this book is actually designed to be done at home. So you can do everything with just bands and a an inflatable ball thingy. I don't know what they're called, those giant balls. You can do the whole workout at home. It's a quick workout. It's like 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a half hour if you're going to go slow, and it works as quickly as he suggests it does. So if you're looking for a good fitness book that's kind of a no bullshit, literally change your body if you follow the steps in a couple weeks, a great book. So 6 weeks to a Hollywood Body by Steve Zim. I need to start it because I've been sitting on my ass too long working on this damn website, and I need to get moving again. So there you have it. So that's the books for today. That's the books for this week, rather. Week 2 of 52 weeks of reading here on Marketers Who Can't Market, the Nihon Hustle sponsored podcast. Would you like to be a sponsor? I don't think we're ready for sponsors yet. I need interesting guests to be a sponsor. If you want to be a guest, email me, doc@nihonhustle.com, and I'll get back to you, and maybe we'll do some work together. All right. Speaking of work, by the way, did you know I was a writer? Probably, yeah. So largely these days, if I pick up freelance work, contract work, I'm doing editing. So here in Japan, I edit for a newspaper in Hiroshima, and I just recently picked up a gig doing some writing for Gaijin Pot here in Japan, which is kind of like online magazine, online website, basically geared toward the non-Japanese population here in Japan. A lot of people read Gaijin Pot before they come to Japan, and then when they first start out here. So I'll be doing some writing for them, work-related kinds of things about jobs and that sort of stuff. It's right up my alley. And then maybe doing some work for some other cats from around the world here pretty soon as well. I'm pretty busy with my own stuff, but I do take on editing projects from time to time. Just because it's fun, and I like to kind of be able to help people out. Money's good too, right? So if that's something that you need, you can also reach out to me at the same email address, doc@nihonhustle.com. Or actually, you can reach me regarding that sort of stuff at my normal email address, which is doc@roscommon.com, ROSCOMMON.com, and I'll get right back in touch with you. All right, that's it with the sales pitch. So have a wonderful day. I'm out of here. I gotta hit the bricks. I'm tired. Hit the bricks. Do we say that when we're gonna do something or go to sleep? I'm not so sure. Hit the rack. I gotta take a shower first, though. It's been a hot day here in Japan. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Get some books. Read, read, read. Take it easy, Doc Kane. I'll see you tomorrow.